All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning. I am Sarabjit Kaur and with me is Prashant Kumar Sinha. The headlines. Winter session of Parliament begins today. Farm Laws Repeal Bill 2021 listed for introduction and passing in the Lok Sabha on the first day. Union Health Ministry revises guidelines for international arrivals amid concerns on new COVID-19 variant Omicron. Centre directs states and union territories to enforce intensive containment and active surveillance measures in view of the new COVID variant. Over 122 crore 34 lakh doses of COVID vaccine administered in the country so far. Schools reopen in Delhi for all classes from today. BJP sweeps Tripura civic elections, winning 217 of 222 seats. Prime Minister applauds party workers for victory. Special task force investigating UPTET paper leak case arrests several people. Government says exam to be reconducted within a month. And in cricket, New Zealand need 280 runs to win the match on final day of Kanpur test with 9 wickets in hand. As India created history by administering over 100 crore vaccine doses against COVID-19, All India Radio salutes all the doctors, nurses, other frontline workers and all those who got vaccinated and made this possible. Even though the country has achieved this feat, we caution our listeners that the battle against COVID is not yet over. We appeal to our listeners to get fully vaccinated at the earliest and also help others get vaccinated. Please follow these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact national helpline numbers 011-2397-8046 and 1075. As our nation celebrates the 75th year of independence, a series of events are being organized by the government as a part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. To commemorate the occasion as a Jan Utsav, All India Radio News brings its listeners a special quiz on India's freedom movement and its glorious history. The quiz is being conducted every Monday and Tuesday in the morning news since 16th August and will continue till 15th August 2022. India Post has joined hands as the logistics partner with All India Radio News for the Amrit Mahotsav quiz. And coming to our 31st question of the Amrit Mahotsav quiz in English, Baba Gurdat Singh was associated with which incident that catalyzed the Gadar movement? I repeat the question. Baba Gurdat Singh was associated with which incident that catalyzed the Gadar movement? Listeners can send their responses to the question over WhatsApp on 8826546262. I repeat, 8826546262. Or through email on amritmahotsavquiz@prasarbharati.gov.in. amritmahotsavquiz@prasarbharati.gov.in. And now the news in detail. The winter session of Parliament will begin from today. It is scheduled to conclude on 23rd December. Today, Farm Laws Repeal Bill 2021 has been listed for introduction and passing in the Lok Sabha. The bill will repeal the Farmers Empowerment and Protection Agreement on Price Assurance and Farm Services Act 2020, the Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce Promotion and Facilitation Act 2020, the Essential Commodities Amendment Act 2020, and amend the Essential Commodities Act 1955. Government held a meeting with floor leaders of all parties in New Delhi yesterday to ensure smooth functioning of both the houses. Parliamentary Affairs Minister Prahlad Joshi said the government is always ready to discuss on the floor of the House any issue as permitted under rules of procedure. He also requested all parties for cooperation for the smooth functioning of the House.
सरकार के तरफ से माननीय राजनाथ सिंह जी ने कहा कि ये जो कुछ भी सजेशन आया है पूरा हम ध्यान में रखेंगे और सरकार नियम के अधीन जो कुछ भी चर्चा माननीय स्पीकर और माननीय चेयरमैन परमिट करते हैं वो सब चर्चा के लिए सरकार तैयार है। सरकार के तरफ से हमने यही निवेदन किया है, सभी चर्चा के लिए नियमों के अनुसार सरकार तैयार है जब स्पीकर और चेयरमैन परमिट करता है, लेकिन बिना डिसरप्शन सदन चले, सदन का कार्यवाही चले, यही हमने रिक्वेस्ट अपोजिशन से किया है। सभी अपोजिशन हमको आश्वस्त भी किया है कि हम पूरा कोऑपरेट करेंगे और इस बार और ज्यादा प्रोडक्टिव सदन होगा, सेशन होगा, ऐसे सरकार का उम्मीद है।
In the all-party meeting, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh expressed his appreciation that the discussion had been very healthy and important issues had been flagged. He noted that the parties expressed the need for more discussions in Parliament, with regard to which he underlined that the government also wants healthy discussion. Our correspondent gives details about the bills scheduled to be tabled in the winter session.
The session, which will spread over a period of 25 days, will have 19 sittings. 36 bills and one financial item have been identified for being taken up during the session. Besides Farm Laws Repeal Bill, other important bills which are listed in business schedule include the Cryptocurrency and Regulation of Official Digital Currency Bill, the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Second Amendment Bill, and the Banking Laws Amendment Bill, the Electricity Amendment Bill, the National Anti-Doping Bill, and the Pension Fund Regulatory and Development Authority Amendment Bill will also be taken up during the session. In financial business, the second batch of supplementary demands for grants for the 2021-22 has been listed for discussion and voting. 3 bills will also be taken up to replace the ordinances promulgated during the inter-session. With Anand Kumar, Anupam Mishra, AR News, Delhi.
Vice President and Rajya Sabha Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu met the leaders of parties in the Rajya Sabha ahead of the upcoming winter session of Parliament at Uparashtrapati Niwas last evening. Rajya Sabha Deputy Chairman Harivansh, Parliamentary Affairs Minister Prahlad Joshi, Leader of the House in Rajya Sabha Piyush Goyal, Leader of the Opposition in Rajya Sabha Mallikarjun Kharge, and floor leaders of different political parties attended the meeting. A meeting of the BJP Parliamentary Executive was held in New Delhi under the chairmanship of Party President J.P. Nadda ahead of the winter session. During the meeting, an in-depth discussion was held over the party's strategy to ensure smooth functioning of both houses through meaningful and healthy debate. Besides, a meeting of the floor leaders of the National Democratic Alliance NDA was also held today.
In view of reporting of the new variant of COVID-19 named Omicron, Union Health Ministry has revised guidelines for international arrivals in India to be effective from 1st of December. The ministry has mandated submitting 14 days travel details, uploading negative RT-PCR test report on Air Suvidha portal before the journey. The RT-PCR test should have been conducted within 72 hours prior to undertaking the journey. As per the Health Ministry's guidelines, travellers from countries at risk will need to take COVID test post-arrival and wait for results at the airport. If tested negative, they will follow home quarantine for 7 days, retest on 8th day, and if negative, further self-monitor for next 7 days. Travellers from countries excluding those countries at risk will be allowed to leave the airport and shall self-monitor health for 14 days. A subsection 5% of total flight passengers shall undergo post-arrival testing at random at the airport on arrival. The cost of the testing of such travellers will be borne by the Ministry of Civil Aviation. The Union Health Secretary, Rajesh Bhushan, has written to all states and union territories over the emergence of the new COVID variant, asking them to enforce intensive containment and active surveillance measures and also increase coverage of vaccination. The centre said it is essential that the disease surveillance network in the country is geared up for rigorous follow-up of all international travellers from all countries, especially countries designated as at risk. The centre asked states and union territories to review this at their level and strictly ensure the protocol provided by Union Health Ministry, including testing on disembarkation of international travellers coming from at-risk countries and sending all positive samples for genome sequencing to INSA-CoG labs in a prompt manner. The centre also asked states and union territories to operationalize ample testing infrastructure to tackle any surge due to this mutated virus.
Over 122 crore 34 lakh doses of COVID vaccine have been administered in the country so far under the nationwide vaccination drive. The Health Ministry said more than 36 lakh 58,000 vaccine doses were administered. During the previous 24 hours, 8,774 new COVID-19 cases were reported and 9,481 COVID patients recovered. The national recovery rate stands at 98.34%. We spoke to Dr. N.K. Arora, Chairman of COVID-19 Working Group of the National Technical Advisory Group on Immunization, on India's preparedness in the wake of new COVID variant Omicron.
The whole world is really worried for last 4 days or so with new COVID variant Omicron. And basically this is a new variant where lot of almost 60 to 70 mutations have occurred in one virus. And this variant has first been described from South Africa, but over a matter of days, this has spread to a lot of countries, almost as of today, almost 20 countries across the world. It is considered to be more infectious, but the information is still scanty. The WHO has announced this as to be a variant of concern. That means the countries and the communities have to be worried about it and take preventive steps.
Schools and other educational institutions in the national capital Delhi are reopening from today. The institutions in the city have been closed since 13th of November this month due to hazardous air quality levels. On 17th of this month, the Delhi government had extended the suspension of in-person classes till further orders. Air quality in the city is still in the severe category. According to Central Pollution Control Board, air quality index in Delhi was recorded 407.
You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Winter session of Parliament begins today. Farm Laws Repeal Bill 2021 listed for introduction and passing in the Lok Sabha on the first day. Union Health Ministry revises guidelines for international arrivals amid concerns on new COVID-19 variant Omicron. Centre directs states and union territories to enforce intensive containment and active surveillance measures in view of new COVID variant. Over 122 crore 34 lakh doses of COVID-19 vaccine administered in the country so far. Schools reopen in Delhi for all classes from today. BJP sweeps Tripura civic elections, winning 329 out of 334 seats. Prime Minister applauds party workers for victory. Special Task Force investigating UP TET paper leak case arrests several people. Government says exam to be reconducted within a month. And in cricket, New Zealand need 280 runs to win the match on final day of Kanpur test with 9 wickets in hand. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
Welcome back to the morning news. The Bharatiya Janata Party has swept the Tripura civic body elections, winning 329 out of the total 334 seats. Counting of votes was held yesterday at 13 different counting centres across the state. The party won 217 seats out of 222 seats across 13 ULBs, including Agartala Municipal Corporation. The BJP had already won 112 seats from 20 urban bodies uncontested. CPIM managed to win 3 seats and 1 seat each was won by TMC and an independent candidate, a total of 5 seats out of total 334 seats. Prime Minister Narendra Modi applauded Tripura BJP Karyakartas who worked tirelessly on the ground and served people. He said under the leadership of Tripura Chief Minister Biplab Dev, the state government has been at the forefront of many initiatives which the people have duly blessed. Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has said that those who are responsible for the teachers' eligibility test paper leak will not be spared and ordered to invoke Gangster Act and seize the property of those involved in the paper leak. He said that the state government is with the candidates of UPTET. Special Task Force of Uttar Pradesh Police carrying the investigation of the paper leak has arrested 29 persons so far in connection with the paper leak. STF is conducting raids in many districts across the state. The prime accused of the Solver gang was arrested from Pratapgarh district by STF, while other associates were arrested from other districts. STF has arrested some people from Bihar state who were involved in this paper leak. Meanwhile, the state government has said that the re-examination of TET will be conducted in a transparent manner within 1 month.
President Ramnath Kovind will attend Golden Jubilee Year program of Shanti Kunj in Haridwar today. The President is on a 2-day visit to Uttarakhand since yesterday. The President will perform Puja Archana in Prageshwar Mahadev Temple situated at Dev Sanskriti University in the forenoon. During his visit to the university, President Kovind will talk with Acharya and office bearers of the university. The President will also visit the first Asian Baltic Cultural Center situated in the university and plant a tree of Rudraksh there. After visiting Yug Rishi Sri Ram Sharma and Ma Bhagwati Devi Sharma room situated at Shanti Kunj, the President will return to New Delhi. And now let's listen to our special program Azadi Ka Safar, highlighting the importance of the day during the freedom struggle.
Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav.
Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. Birth of a Nation. India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of this struggle every day.
In today's episode, we commemorate the life of freedom fighter and eminent social worker, Amritlal Vithaldas Thakkar, who was born on the 29th of November 1869. Popularly known as Thakkar Bapa, he dedicated over 35 years working for the so-called lower castes and tribes across many states of India.
Bapa was born in Bhavnagar, Gujarat and worked as an engineer in Porbandar, Uganda, Bombay municipality, as also the chief engineer of the erstwhile Sangli state. While working in Bombay suburb of Kurla, he was horrified by the miserable living conditions of the so-called lower caste.
With help from Ramaji Shinde, a member of the Depressed Classes Mission, he established a school in Kurla for the children of sweepers. In 1914, he joined the Servants of India Society and was introduced to Mahatma Gandhi by Gopal Krishna Gokhale, with whom he developed a close relationship.
Bapa visited Odisha in 1920 and conducted famine relief work. In 1923, he founded the Bhil Seva Mandal to strive for tribal upliftment. He was president of the Bhavnagar State Subjects Conference in 1926, and in 1928, he presided over the Kathiawar States People Conference.
During the civil disobedience movement of 1930, Thakkar Bapa was arrested and sentenced to 6 months prison with hard labor, but he was released after 40 days.
He was the secretary of the Harijan Sevak Sangh and founded the Gond Sevak Sangh in 1944. This organization was later renamed Vanavasi Seva Mandal. He was elected the chairman of a subcommittee of the Constituent Assembly. He authored the book Tribes of India in 1950.
Thakkar Bapa firmly believed in the power of universal compulsory education and also advocated the abolition of untouchability. He travelled to many parts of India carrying these missions everywhere. On his devotion, Mahatma Gandhi had once remarked that his ambition was to equal Thakkar Bapa's record of selfless service.
He passed away on the 20th of January 1951 at the age of 81. India Post released a stamp in his honour in 1969. We salute this great Indian patriot who dedicated his life in the service of the downtrodden.
पहचानिए झूल रहे धीर के.
We also remember freedom fighter, philosopher and reformer Ram Singh Kukka, who was martyred on the 29th of November 1885. Founder of the Kukka movement, he was the first Indian to use non-cooperation and boycott of British merchandise and services as a political weapon.
Ram Singh was born in Bhaini, Punjab. As a young man, he became a disciple of Balak Singh, the founder of the austere Namdhari movement. Before his death, Balak Singh appointed Ram Singh as the leader of the Namdharis. He was a part of the army of the great Maharaja Ranjit Singh.
On the death of Ranjit Singh, his army and domain fell apart, and Ram Singh was determined to help Sikhs regain their self-respect. He introduced new practices among the Namdharis, who came to be called Kukkas, from the Punjabi kuk, scream or cry, because of the shrieks they emitted after the frenzied chanting of hymns.
The Kukka or the Namdhari movement picked up momentum with time, and the British reacted violently, killing many Kukka fighters. Ram Singh was promptly deported to Rangoon and later on to the Andamans under life imprisonment. He passed away on November 29th, 1885.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
आजादी के आंदोलन के खजाने में ऐसे ढेरों शब्द जिन्होंने बदल दिए इतिहास, तारीख बदलने वाले लफ्जों पर आकाशवाणी समाचार ला रहा है विशेष कार्यक्रम धरोहर हर सोमवार।
In today's episode of Dharohar, we will bring you the voice of independence activist Hansa Mehta in our series. Best wishes to all consumers for Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Hallmark ensures purity of gold. Always purchase hallmarked gold jewellery. For any consumer-related complaints, please contact National Consumer Helpline's toll-free number 14404, issued in public interest by Department of Consumer Affairs, Government of India. Jago Grahak, Jago.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has congratulated Petru Fiala on his appointment as Prime Minister of the Czech Republic. In a tweet, Mr. Modi said he is looking forward to work with him for further enhancing India-Czech ties.
Curtains came down on the 52nd International Film Festival of India in Goa last evening with a glittering closing ceremony. The star-studded musical extravaganza heralded 9 days of film and events. Some of the most glittering names from Indian cinema, including Madhuri Dixit, Manoj Bajpayee and Randhir Kapoor, were in attendance at the ceremony. Sukhwinder Singh dazzled the audience with a scintillating performance. The coveted Golden Peacock Award for the best film went to the movie from Japan Ring Wandering by director Masakazu Kaneko. The Silver Peacock for the Best Actor Male went to Jitendra Joshi for the Marathi drama Godavari of filmmaker Nikhil Mahajan.
At the 52nd IFFI, we had the presence and enthusiastic participation of OTT platforms for the first time. IFFI has embraced new technology, the platform choices of audiences, and kept pace with the changing time. We also showcase the best films from the BRICS nations and hope to see this partnership blossom further. In a unique initiative aimed at identifying and nurturing young talent as we celebrate the 75 years of India's independence, we started a program and shortlisted 75 creative minds of tomorrow.
In the Kanpur cricket test, New Zealand will resume day 5 this morning at the overnight score of 4-1. For the visitors, Tom Latham at 2 and William Somerville at 0 are at the crease. Earlier, the partnership between Shreyas Iyer and Riddhiman Saha helped India to take hold of the match on day 4 of the first test at Green Park Stadium. India declared their second innings at 234 for 7 towards the end of the day's play.
And now let us take a look at the weather forecast for today. Srinagar and Jammu will have mainly clear sky. Leh and Gilgit are likely to have partly cloudy sky. Muzaffarabad will see mainly clear sky. The national capital Delhi will have shallow fog. The temperatures will vary between 10 and 27 degrees Celsius. Mumbai will have partly cloudy sky with possibility of development of thunder lightning. Chennai is expected to witness a generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. Kolkata, the minimum temperature was 18 degrees Celsius. Maximum will be around 28 degrees. Guwahati, the minimum temperature was 14 degrees. Maximum will be around 27 degrees Celsius. And Kohima will have mainly clear sky.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. Voicing concerns over the emerging threat from the new variant of the coronavirus, COVID-19 could again ground global flights, headlines The Pioneer, while the Asian Aid States Centre devises rules for world travellers amid Omicron alarm. With the winter session of Parliament scheduled to begin today, government lists farm law repeal on today's House agenda is the lead in The Hindu. Expressing concern over the upgradation of Chinese infrastructure, India takes up LAC infra build-up by China's PLA is a front-page headline in the Hindustan Times. The Financial Express, under the caption Growth Pangs, writes inflation could impede economic recovery. With the states all set for schools to reopen today, the Times of India reports Delhi schools to reopen after pollution break, and finally signalling a hockey revival in the state. 5 players in Junior World Cup. This India hockey story has a UP twist, writes the Indian Express.
Before we end the bulletin, a reminder of today's question of the Amrit Mahotsav quiz. Baba Gurdat Singh was associated with which incident that catalyzed the Gadar movement? I repeat the question. Baba Gurdat Singh was associated with which incident that catalyzed the Gadar movement? WhatsApp your response on 88265 46262 or through email on amritmahotsavquiz@prasarbharati.gov.in. Celebrate 75 years of India's independence by participating in Amrit Mahotsav Quiz with AIR News. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Winter session of Parliament begins today. Farm Laws Repeal Bill 2021 listed for introduction and passing in the Lok Sabha on the first day. Union Health Ministry revises guidelines for international arrivals amid concerns on new COVID-19 variant Omicron. Centre directs states and union territories to enforce intensive containment and active surveillance measures in view of new COVID variant. Over 122 crore 34 lakh doses of COVID vaccine administered in the country so far. Schools reopen in Delhi for all classes from today. BJP sweeps Tripura civic elections, winning 329 of 334 seats. Prime Minister applauds party workers for victory. Special task force investigating UPTET paper leak case arrests several people. Government says exam to be reconducted within a month. And in cricket, New Zealand need 280 runs to win the match on final day of Kanpur test with 9 wickets in hand. And with that we end the morning news. Have a nice day.